Go back to the roots, yeah. None of them can hide from the truth, yeah. Children have to go back to the roots. I'm telling you now, the truth, the truth. Telling you, yeah, the truth, the truth. You have to go back to the roots, the roots. Go to the roots, to the roots. Yeah, man, you know, this is Benjamin out of the Smiling Coast, West Africa, Gambia, representing for the one and only Abu, the big man you don't know. The Soninke warrior, the man that brings the truth. Soninke warrior, the sign of enlightenment. The Soninke warrior, the righteous and the true African. Abu, reveal the truth to them, you know. No matter how them try run from it, because none of them can hide from the truth, yeah. Yes, we have to dig back the roots, yeah. Fire!
Thank you for joining me on this Sunday again. If you're just coming in, if you're able to catch me live, feel free to express how you feel about anything that I'm talking about. So you can see, this is Afridamus. This is the Afridamus report. Today's topic is going to be about Pan-Africanism. What is the true meaning of Pan-Africanism? The reason why I want to start delving into these topics, because lately many black diasporans, especially people from America, have started showing a lot of interest in traveling to various African countries. But now I know most are going to say this is happening in the spirit of Pan-Africanism. But this Pan-African spirit, or the meaning of it, we have to make sure we know what the true meaning is, what the centralized meaning is, because many a times, depending on who you're talking to, will give you a different idea or different version of what they think Pan-Africanism really means. To be quite honest, these topics about Pan-Africanism, you mostly hear this in black American circles, and if you listen to a lot of reggae, you would hear about this. And there are a lot of young African youths, people that are into reggae. They definitely tend to have that Pan-African spirit, but their meaning, what they think Pan-Africanism is versus what people in the United States think it is, I noticed there is like a difference in what it is. Because even amongst black people, there are things that people totally disagree with, because the divide always comes at a place where each voice and each group seems to want to be the dominant voice, you see. So when one disagrees with another one's idea of what they think Pan-Africanism is, then they are labeled anti-black, or they are not Pan-Africanists. I'll give you some examples of people that myself, like, I would consider to be real Pan-Africanists, like Malcolm X. He's a true Pan-Africanist because, if you can go look back to the things he talks about, it's about African, black people in America, how they can unite with other blacks all around the world. But in Africa, for instance, during colonial times, where it was white people, white colonial masters who had control over these countries, right? The Pan-African spirit was needed, and that actually was formed, as you know, about people like Kwame Nkrumah, Lumumba, Nelson Mandela. All these people, that's the Pan-African spirit is what their principles are based off of. But also, there are people that you're going to have difference in opinion with. It doesn't mean that they don't like what you're saying. You're all on the same page, but your approach and your idea to what Pan-Africanism is supposed to be, that's where the divide comes into play. For example, you have your staunch Pan-Africanists who would consider, let's say, any African that practices any religion that they do not approve of, i.e. Christianity or Islam. They would say, okay, this person is not a true Pan-Africanist. But then, this same Pan-Africanist can never tell you what religion you should be holding on to. They would say, ancient African spirit. I used to talk about things like this a lot on my Facebook page. I would make videos over there engaging my fellow countrymen, Gambian people, to try to get them to think outside the box. So I would pose questions that would force them to challenge, some of the writings of the religious book. But this challenge, people are never comfortable with that. So in the spirit of Pan-Africanism, there's this, like your staunch Pan-Africanists, first of all, their first attack is going to be the religion, because they do not want Africans, participating in quote-unquote, westernized religions. And Islam, I know, is from the far east, but in the African context, is still sort of considered westernized. So now, that segment of the population that built their foundation based on these religions, now when you want to disparage their religion, under the disguise of Pan-Africanism, the rift starts right then and there. And that's what I have been seeing. The definition of Pan-Africanism for black people here and on the continent is different, because when you you're from a place where everyone is black, right? All the authorities are black. There is no racial rift there. So, going around saying I'm a Pan-Africanist is rather silly, you can see my point. Who are you trying, what are you trying to prove? Or to whom are you trying to prove it to? During, like I said, the colonial era, it made sense for people to use those sort of languages, right? But now, even though, like, black people, I understand, live in a society where this society, myself, I live in that society, where race matters. I know people, sometimes they would say, oh no, all races are treated the same. No, that's not a fact, and I'm very aware of that, right? But now you have people that would say, oh, we are all, just because we're black, we're all brothers, we have to have the Pan-Africanist spirit. You are happy. And most, I guarantee you, most Africans I have met from various countries, I have to keep using the term African because in America, especially with, black people, Africa is just seen as this one big country. It's not a continent, it's a big country. Majority would not be able to name the countries for you, not even 3. I think that's being generous. I know some are gonna come and say, oh, you're wrong for saying that. I'm not saying all, listen to me, I'm not saying all, but majority, they cannot name 3 countries for you in the continent of Africa. But yet, you would run into people. For instance, you run into an African and someone from an African country. So your experience, because what I've noticed, people are using their racial, the American experience and project it onto anyone that has a black skin. If someone is not hypersensitive to their skin color, to most black people in America, they would say, oh, that guy is an Uncle Tom. That person is not a Pan-Africanist. Oh, this person is not black first. But you yourself, as a foreign black person, quite frankly, if the Pan-Africanist spirit is real, and the way many people talk about it, I mean, you would be welcomed with open arms, for instance. But you are looked at with more suspicion as a foreign black person, to be quite honest, amongst most black people than even white people. So you start becoming confused, about what do they mean by Pan-Africanism? Is this just a fancy word to say, oh, we just want to make ourselves feel good? The real action itself is not there. And again, I'm not saying, someone, because, okay, I'll take this back. You reverse it, like what we have today. Many black Americans are beginning to visit Africa, and some are visiting it back to back. Some are even resettling over there because of how welcoming the people are to them. There is no secret. This is not a secret. This is reality, because the people themselves, they make YouTube videos about this, and we see how excited they are about being in a much peaceful society. But as of late, these same Pan-Africanists who were motivated by the spirit of Pan-Africanism to leave, racist, wicked America, so they can find peace on the continent of Africa. Not all, but some of them have been trying to project their own meaning of what Pan-Africanism is onto other people. What do I mean by that? The videos, the discussions, because as you know, like a lot of things that you see online that people talk about, know that they've also observed in their real life. So I'm the type, I don't just go like watch like a little clip and then formulate my idea from that. No, I've watched lots of videos about black people from America, who want to travel to Africa, who have, some are even in Africa, in the spirit of Pan-Africanism. But now, in Africa, for the Africans to see people in African countries, obviously you're going to run into some like myself who's lived in both cultures, who understands where both groups are coming from. But I can assure you right now, the Pan-Africanists that are coming from the United States of America, the black people, what I have seen from their end, not all, but most, they are not looking for a brotherhood, like a true brotherhood, where they can reconnect with the people that live in those countries on a family level. They're mostly talking about business opportunities, what they can take advantage of. So now, Wouldn't that, if that's all we see, that's what people talk about, bravo, that's a good thing, you move to another country, it doesn't matter where that country is, whether it's black people, there are blue people, whatever. If you see an opportunity that you can execute, and help yourself, help the people that are there, hey, more power to you. You should by all means take advantage of that. But now don't point fingers at other people and say, oh, these people are trying to exploit these other people. You see how that quickly would expand the meaning of Pan-Africanism? Because many people that I see, they point fingers at other people who are non-blacks, for instance, that are doing business in Africa. So if you're accusing those people of exploitation because they saw opportunities, business opportunities, and they know they can fill those gaps, and they're doing that, but you're pointing fingers at them. Now let's come back to you, who was talking about, oh no, we're rebuilding just brotherhood, we want to return to that land, but then again, you turn around at the same time, you're saying, hey, this is Pan-Africanism, this is what is motivating me. But then I'm hearing, phrases like, oh, we can take over this place, these people don't understand what's going on. And then on top of that, low key, for instance, the conversation is one way. It's a one-way straight conversation. It's not a two-way. Because I have seen where, let's say, an African, somebody who is from an African country, I'll give you an example, like Akon, the famous rapper. He was born in the United States. He's a U.S. citizen, first generation. His parents are Senegalese, and he himself spent some time as a child in Senegal. He grew up in Senegal and the United States. So most black people here in America would only, they would consider him American until he says something they don't like. So people, this Pan-Africanists were talking about, they want to move to Africa because America is racist. We want to reunite with our people. We want to move to a land where we wouldn't be judged by the color of our skin. We would have peace. So Akon was doing an interview with DJ Vlad. It's a popular podcast on YouTube. So Akon said he wants, black people in America to forget about slavery and come to Africa and explore the opportunity. He said, he doesn't think America is going to give black people reparation. He said he doesn't think they are sorry. And from the looks of it, he is right. So Akon's heart is in the right place. He didn't say anything here that anyone can twist and turn. But many black people online started saying, oh, who is Akon to even say that? He has no business talking about black American, situation. But if Pan-Africanism is about brotherhood, right? Shouldn't your brothers on the continent be able to tell you these things? And the guy didn't even say anything terrible. I mean, this person is saying, look, if you're facing X, Y, and Z, here is another option for you to find peace. How were you able to flip that around into saying this guy, he has no business talking about our affairs? But in the meantime, here in America, we see majority of, especially online, we see black people that try to talk about the affairs of African countries. I don't know of any African YouTubers or any group that I've ever run into sitting there saying, these African Americans shouldn't be saying, they have no right speaking on our behalf. People are like, all right, this is what they want to say, this is it. But with Akon, it went as far as, right, some people started saying, oh, Akon should shut up. In fact, they sold us, his people sold us into slavery. So now, these people, so they're saying that Akon's people sold their people into slavery. Like, what proof do you have? You see what I'm saying? And the people who were sold into slavery, the Africans, let's state facts, people. The Africans that were sold into slavery, notice those people didn't just fall out of the sky. These are other people's relatives. So you are accusing Akon saying, oh, his people sold us into slavery. Okay, how do you know? How do you know there isn't a possibility that through in Akon's lineage there are people from his tribe, from his clan, his people are related to. Some of them were sold into slavery or kidnapped into slavery, depending on the part of Africa you are in. When he says forget about slavery, he's not saying that oh, forget about the history like it never happened. That's not what he's saying. He's saying you should want to move on to the next stage of life, because the world is no longer stagnant. Just because okay, you want to bring people back to a time that the world is no longer at. The world has moved on. But I'm not saying, or Akon isn't saying, you shouldn't stand up for your right. He's saying instead of using that energy, constantly fighting, here is a place. This is your own home. There is tons and tons of opportunity there. So this is why now so many that are going to Africa, they are beginning to see the opportunity, the same opportunities that Akon is talking about. But how the only way you'll be able to see these opportunities in these countries is if you humble yourself. You have to be humble and be open, to learning new things. When you go to Rome, you do as Romans do. But if you already think you know more than everyone, when people try to, instead of learning about people's culture, their norms, how things are done, you just want to come and impose on a group of people, they are not going to like it. They are not going to like it. And then you start saying, oh, these people hate us. See, folks, this is what you have to pay attention to, the words that people use, because subconsciously, their view of the world comes out. When someone tells you the truth, especially in the spirit of Pan-Africanism, it doesn't mean that they hate you. It doesn't mean that. Hating someone takes a lot of energy. But, that same attitude, many, as of late, it's not a whole bunch of them. I don't want to sound like all the, black people who want to repatriate, this is their, this is their mindset. But I'm just saying, from what I'm seeing online, the meaning of Pan-Africanism is not the same, for black people in America, because the meaning takes turns. Because I see even, because if we're true Pan-Africanists, why are you treating an African brother, for example, someone like Akon, saying he has no business talking, about Black American issue. No, for real. Like, if we are all one and that's how you truly see things, we should be able to discuss these things. I've seen a lot of you that like a lot of black people that go to Africa, as of late. This maybe they are just the loudest among the bunch, but they are pointing out the inadequacies of the some of these countries, how things are not running right. Hey buddy, did you not, when they told you you were moving to a third world country, did you think they were joking? Or maybe did you think what they, like when white people say it, they are just being hateful and or they don't know what they are talking about? No. Sometimes I understand the truth hurts, but you have to face it head on. You're moving to a third world country with a first world expectation. You would always be disappointed. You cannot move from a first world into a third world and then still have that first world expectation. The way things work in America and the way things work in not just African countries, other countries outside of America, it's not going to be the same. It's not going to be the same. For example, in Gambia, where I'm from, the majority of the people are self-employed. That's a thing. That's what is expected of you, to be out there getting your hustle on. It's not like America where there is like tons of companies, white companies you can go to and put in your resume and get a job. Or if for people who don't have a job, the government would be there for them to support them and stuff like that. No, when you decide, if you decide that you're going to move to Africa, make sure you visit first, learn about the culture, try to mingle with the people. And I'm here as someone to try to be a buffer zone between the two cultures. But if you are coming there saying, oh, these people, they don't do business this way, they are slow, things don't work right. Well, if you want business efficiency where things move fast, that's America. Let's be real. You're leaving that very place behind you. If that's the system you want to exist in, that capitalist system, for sure, you can by all means stay in America. But if you look around you, for some of you that's already visited various African countries, yes, you've seen incompetence, but you've also seen competence in a lot of areas. You've seen, competent businessmen. You've seen, nice, organized, big businesses where people are thriving. So in every society, for example, when you as an individual move to those places, you study the society and associate yourself with the group of people that you want to associate with. So again, if you're expecting to get that first world experience, that first world competence, there are people in these various countries, that have those skills, that have a way of making that happen. You can try to connect with those people. But also, talking about you're there to take over, these people don't know what they are doing. Okay, wouldn't that make you a colonizer? Because you cannot hide behind Pan-Africanism with languages like that. Okay, if you're going to take over, for instance, your language is English, the white man's language. Same white man that you said is the colonizer. So you're going to teach the people to speak English the way you speak it, right? So now you are bringing a westernized culture to them because you're saying what they have is inferior. You are above, it's beneath you to want to learn about the culture in those countries or learn their language. Instead, it's like you just want to point out problems. I mean, anyone can point out a problem. Even a 5-year-old can come, telling you about, oh, there's a fire over there. Anyone can do that. But now, if you feel like you have a universal Pan-Africanist spirit, you want to show, people what black love is, what black unity has to be, you live by example. Because I can assure you, I don't know about other places, but for example, like Gambia, the small West African countries, Senegal, those areas, is fertile ground for you to want to establish yourself the way you see it fit. But you're going to need cash. You're going to need to, take that American dollar with you. You're going to need to find out what sort of things you need to go there and establish. Because just like a video I saw where a guy was out shopping, and for machinery equipments, and these machinery equipments are sold by an Indian store, and the person who's a black American that moved back to Africa started saying, oh yeah, these people, unfortunately, our brothers and sisters here, they don't own any of these things, they don't make any of this. I mean, I've lived in America. I've never seen machinery equipment that is made by black people, But the world, that doesn't mean the world is going to stop. Yes, in these countries, they cannot make those machineries, but they know how to operate them, and until the African feels the need to start manufacturing this, it's a step-by-step thing, because if someone is not exposed to certain knowledge, or experiences, there's no way they can manifest that into their real life. But you are just pointing things out that you're saying, oh, these people cannot do this, these people cannot do that. How are you really being a Pan-Africanist brother? You're not looking for brotherhood. You're looking for superiority. You're looking to be above the people that you're seeing in front of you. It has absolutely nothing to do with love. And I don't want this video to make some of you feel like, oh, maybe this African brother doesn't want us to come to Africa. No. It doesn't matter what I think, but, still, I'm going to say this. I encourage more and more black people from America to visit various African countries. But visit it with open-mindedness. Be willing to learn. Don't already assume you know. Because the moment you start assuming that you know things, you've shut yourself down away. Like your mind is already closed, to new things. You cannot learn new things if you assume you already know. And don't be too quick to label everything as hatred. People don't hate you. People can have difference in the way they see things, but anytime someone disagrees with you, you run to, oh, these people hate us. You are even accusing, people that look just like you, saying those people hate you. How can they hate you when they don't know anything about you other than you are their stolen cousins who were taken into slavery. That's the only thing most people know. I've seen where an interviewer, African American interviewer, was interviewing an African person, someone, a native African, and he was saying, why and can't you guys stay in your country and learn? Is it that this country's education system is not that good? Okay, first of all, if the people are learning, all their curriculum is in the Western standardized form, they are learning English or French, don't you think it would make more sense, if you are to compete, in a global sense, for you to expose yourself to where this education is actually more sophisticated? I mean, I'm not saying that education in Africa is not sophisticated. That's not what I'm saying. But there are some things that you cannot learn just being in that environment. You're open to more opportunities, in a Western world. So this is why you would see Africans who want to make changes travel abroad to gain that knowledge, to gain that experience, to gain those advantages that are out there. But that again, I think that brings us to a black person's definition of what Pan-Africanism is. Because make no mistake, for majority of Africans to leave the continent of Africa is a hassle. Brothers and sisters on the continent, in majority of those countries, they would even have a hard time traveling from one African country to another with their nation's passport. I've seen the example with a popular YouTuber named Wardemire, who travels all around Africa and bring us, different, what's going on in different countries. But you've seen him get arrested several times in several different countries. You've seen him have a hard time in entering some countries. But I haven't found one single video on YouTube yet. I mean, if you have one, you can drop it in my comment section. But I haven't found one single YouTube video where a black person from the diaspora, from the United States, a black American with a US passport or a British passport, that's ever made a video where they're claiming that they've had a hard time being allowed into these countries. That is not your experience. So you're telling me, like right now, majority of you are saying, they should give us citizenship in these countries. So if I was born and raised in Africa, and a place like the United States, the biggest economy in the world, I understand that they have a system that would allow me to become a citizen and have dual citizenship, just as you are pursuing. And I know that if I become a United States citizen, those obstacles of being, traveling to wherever I want to go, so I can explore this world, so I can learn, be exposed to different ideas and bring these ideas to my brothers and sisters back on the continent who, weren't lucky enough to have that. Are you telling me, I'm wrong for taking that? Because in the US, it's not only Africans, but people from all over the world come to the United States because that's where the action is. Just like you guys are saying, I can't believe these African brothers here cannot even see the opportunity. There are plenty of African brothers and sisters I know that are taking advantage of those opportunities. I mean, these countries you go to, the big buildings you're seeing, most of the businesses you're seeing, who do you think it belongs to? Yes, you might see like foreigners own certain things, but majority of the businesses, the homes, is owned by the people, the natives there. So that absolutely makes sense. It's like when I came to the United States, majority of the homes I see that is owned by American people. That's just common sense. But now trying to say us, like someone born on the continent, taking advantage of this, that makes them a fool. It doesn't make sense. It's not Pan-Africanism. We all should be entitled to how we see Pan-Africanism to be, as long as it's done in love, And even with that, I have to be careful because people have different interpretations of what it is. And again, I'm going to repeat, there are some black people that repatriated to Africa. We don't hear from them, but they can tell you, that if you go there with an open mind, I'm talking about the people that are assimilated into those societies, the people that are having, wonderful time, they will tell you that, the people are nice as long as you're not trying to act like you're better than them. Because I don't know how you want to justify that. And also trying to get the people to have the sentiment you have towards non-Africans. They don't see the world that way. I'm able to understand both sides because, like I said, I lived in Africa, in the African society. I grew up there, and I've also spent lots of time, a lot of my life I spent it in America, living as just a black person. So I tend to gravitate towards black talking points, black YouTube online, and it's just a whole bunch of some are trying to bring the hood mentality back to the continent. And most of you that are watching me or coming to watch me later would agree with me. Because now I see that they are even ganging up. It's like bullying. An African sister. I mean, they are supposed to be Pan-Africanists, but they are attacking her physical structures, her hair. So how is that Pan-Africanism, people? How is that Pan-Africanism? That is not Pan-Africanism. We have to be able to have honest conversations. We have to be able to, have the right to talk on each other's issues, so that we can create a better relationship. Because this one right here is not working. The meaning of Pan-Africanism that you guys are selling is really not working. It's very bipolar. It's inconsistent. It is not making sense. I'm going to end the program here, our show here. But before I go, I just want to let you know, this is just a conversation we're having. Some might like it, some might not. But at the end of the day, take what's going to be beneficial to you out of this conversation. Before you go to Africa, learn about the culture, or be open to learning it. Don't assume things. Don't ignore relevant things. Don't think that you're just gonna go there and impose your will on them, because then that makes you the colonialist that you talk about every single day. You know what they say? Sometimes, or most of the times, you become like the person you resent. That's the word of the day. Thank you, people. Make sure you share. If you're new here, subscribe to the channel. Let's work together. Help me grow this channel so the information can reach a lot more people out there. Thank you.